Welcome to Urban Homesteading. In today's episode, we're going to complete an outside patio set. Last week we built 2 chairs, and this week we're going to build the table. The overall cost for this set, it is well under $50, which is an astonishing value you cannot find in any other way, even if you buy plastic furniture. So we appreciate your support and stick around for a very fun build. Hello friends, and welcome again to the Urban Homesteading channel with Professor DIY, Mrs. DIY and Elpida. Last week we made these wonderful outside chairs, furniture, whatever, right? Mm-hmm. And today we're going to finish them and add the last piece for our outside decor, which is a table, right?
Okay.
The idea behind the table is we want to match the general style. Mm-hmm. So we are going to build it using 2x4s again. Again, you can have the same design and spend a little more money on wood and make it a little more modern, or this is kind of, is it rustic? I don't know what the style is that we made, but we are going to stick with the 2x4s.
Okay.
So we want to make the whole thing fairly affordable. We don't want to make a lot of money. So it's going to be a small table. The whole idea is to put maybe a plant on top of it and maybe some drinks when we're out there, right?
Right.
It doesn't need to be very strong. It will be much stronger than we need it actually. But it doesn't have to be a very complicated table, right? A very simple table that matches this.
So the design is going to be cohesive, so these all look like they're part of a set.
Right. Mm-hmm. So like always, we're going to head out to our to one of the 2 big box stores. You are still my favorite viewer, and this is going to be a fantastic episode. So today, using less than 2 boards of 2x4s, we are going to build this wonderful matching side table for the chairs we built last week. So stick around. As always, we're going to show you every step of the way, along with tips, tricks, and other useful information. The first step will be to take one of those, or both of our boards, we bought 2, and squaring them like this one. Because that makes it much nicer looking, right? It doesn't look like a dimensional lumber anymore.
Okay.
So we have done that before. I don't want to sew it. You take it through the sew and you do it, right?
Right.
So we're going to do that and we'll be right back with you.
This is, for us, this is 20 inches, and that'll be the base of the side piece that's going to hold the table up. So now I need another one exactly the same. I'm going to use our story stick method of using the piece we just cut. This means we know it's the dimension we want. And I'm going to go ahead and cut another piece from there. There we go.
All right, excellent. So now we're looking for our scrap so we can efficiently use all our pieces, right, from the previous projects. And for our specific dimensions, we want it to be 15 wide,
Right.
which means we want the piece to be 11, right? Because we have to subtract the width of the sides.
So 15 minus 3 is actually 12.
Okay,
Yep. So that's what we're going to cut.
1 foot. Okay.
So we've marked our boards. We're going to go ahead and cut 2 at a time since we know that these boards can both accommodate that measurement.
And the next step will actually be to assemble the top perimeter, the outline,
Frame.
the frame. And then we'll be right back with you. So we have the 4 pieces cut that we're going to make our front, and now you see the size of our table, right? We're going to assemble this, and then everything else, all cuts and dimensions will be based on this, right? The base will be based on this, everything else will be based on this. And here you can use pocket screws, or you can use through screws like we did on the chairs, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know if have you decided how you want to attach them? Through screws or pocket screws?
Might use a little of both.
Okay. And of course, because this is the top, is going to have the middle will be filled, right?
Yep.
So the bottom will be open, like this.
Yep.
And you're going to like those clamps a lot, right, ladies?
Yes.
They make assembly very straightforward and easy. And we do not have our other red El Cheapo clamps.
They're somewhere in the storage, right?
Yeah, and these are, I think, a little better for 2x4s.
Yeah.
The other are better for smaller dimensions lumber. Right?
Yeah.
So we are going to start the attaching process. So we decided to use through screws to match the way we did the chairs, but here pocket screws will work as well. And just like that, I've been framed.
Mm-hmm.
So this is going to be our top. And the next step will be to create the bottom base. So here how we cut our pieces without measuring, right? This is going to be our top, and this is the height of our top. And this is our bottom. And we need to know how the dimension we need to cut the pieces that connect the bottom to the top, right?
Mm-hmm.
The vertical pieces. So we took a piece, which we call a story stick, and here is the only place we use the measuring tape, right?
Mm-hmm.
We want this distance from here to the top to be 24 inches.
Right.
So to calculate how we're going to cut each of those, we simply match them to this piece, right? We cut it to 24 inches.
Okay. So.
That is not a 24-inch piece. I didn't say it
Right.
correctly.
So let's walk back. This is the frame for the top of our table. We know that this is going to be essentially the foot for the leg, and we knew that we wanted the total height of the table to be 24. So we took a piece of wood that was longer than that. We measured from the bottom here. We marked this piece to 24. So we knew we would have a total of 24 to include all of these elements. This became our story stick, and that is what we cut those pieces at. So now we have 4 pieces at 24, which are essentially the part of the leg.
The pieces are not 24.
No.
The finished piece will
Right,
be 24.
correct.
It stands at this
It's what-
whole-
Everything stands
height is
at.
24.
Right. We don't even know what this measurement is other than to say it matches our story stick. And so then this piece, and another one of these pieces is going to form that U shape for our table legs.
Okay, excellent. So this is our first dry fit, and as always, because this is dimensional lumber, we have to make a little bit of adjustment, right,
Yeah.
when we finish. But we decided we're going to use pocket screws to connect the top to the bottom, right? Any force we're going to put will be going downwards. So this joint will not have any stress.
Right.
Pocket screws are more than efficient for that purpose, right?
Okay.
And we're going to do the pocket screws first, and then we're going to do the surface.
Okay.
Right? And the favorite part will be the last. So we're going to remove these to do our pocket screws.
Okay. Let's see what that's going to look like.
Okay.
There is always more than one way to do something, so feel free to deviate and make your project in a different way and possibly share it with us.
So if it is that way, I need to flip it, right? I mean, that's the way it was on top. So I need to flip it because we need to be underneath.
No, you just need to put this here and put your board down in there. No.
Okay, yeah, I need to flip it because I cannot do it the way you said. So we're starting with our pocket. I thought it would lock it. And that's how you make stupid mistakes, guys.
Okay, I'm holding it now.
I don't need you to hold it, it just needs to be locked. It needs to be forward.
Forward.
One would think I have never done this before.
It's
in
kind
my
of
life.
like all those electrical appliances needing to be plugged in, right?
Yep.
Okay.
right.
So we're going to do that 3 more times, and then we're going to attach this top frame to our base
Well,
leg.
Pina, have you ever had those days that nothing you do works?
Yes, I have.
Pocket holes is something we have done probably thousands of, right?
Yeah, at this point.
Much more complex than what we were doing today.
Mm-hmm.
I made so many mistakes in pocket holes today that you will think this was before my first time, right? But I've not even seen how to make pocket holes. You see a problem here?
A little bit. Yeah, we can see all the way through it.
My settings were wrong. We did not secure it, so it walked all over the place.
Yeah.
Guess what? We all have those days, right, ladies?
Right.
Today I was being stupid. That's okay. That's why we like to at least prototype with 2x4s. This is about 20 cents worth of
Okay.
material that we wasted in essence, right?
Yep.
But it will happen. Don't be afraid to start over, right? I mean, we decided, Mrs. DIY decided to scrap this and we got a new piece.
So we removed the bad one from our frame, and now we've cut a new one.
New and improved.
Yep, we're going to place that back in.
And we will do it correctly this time.
Yes, we will.
And as you can see, you want to solve in the correct way.
These are going to be correct. Those were made on the correct settings. So once this one is attached back to the frame, then we'll do the pocket holes here and be ready to go.
And that's the only trick with the pocket holes. You need to set both your depth and your width, or whatever you're cutting, correctly.
So by that he means, here on this particular tool, we needed to set it at 1.5, and for some reason we left it on 3/4 down in here. And then also the drill bit has to be set on the correct
Right.
height as well.
So this is the width of your material,
Mm-hmm.
where the actual pocket hole goes.
Uh-huh.
And what you do on the drill is actually the length of the screw, how
Right.
long the screw will be. So
Okay.
often they're the same dimension, but not always.
Right.
We all three know how to do this.
Yep.
Today, my brain was like on vacation. I don't know what happened. All
Okay.
right.
It's all right. We're going to get back on track.
Yep. So our next step will be to cut the width of the pieces that are going to become our top.
Okay.
All right.
And what we're using as our story stick here is the piece that we removed because we know that is the correct width of the piece. And that's going to make it real easy for us to get the correct width.
Never say easy or easy. It's blasphemy in this show, right?
Mm-hmm. And again, you just make sure the ends are completely level, and then you butt that up against the blade, and you know you have the correct size. We've got one more to do. And again, always make sure you have it up against that fence there. Making sure your cut is at that 90 degrees. All right, so now we have these three, and our next step is going to be to rip these. So we're essentially going to take 3 pieces and make 6 pieces out of them, 5 of which is what we're going to
Calculated, we're
use.
going to need 5 pieces on the top. And of course, you cannot divide 5 by 2. So we cut 3 pieces to length, to the desired length. And now we are going to resaw them, right? That is the process. When you cut something on the long dimension in half, that is called resawing, right?
Okay.
When you cut something in the wide dimension, that is called cross-cutting. Does that make sense?
Yep.
The professor gives a lesson today. Like that, the professor gives a lesson?
Sure.
And the way you do that, we're going to run it this way. Then you have to flip it. That's the only important thing, right? You're going to take it and flip it and run it the other way. And the reason for that is the blade, on most saws, we have a 10-inch blade, right? So we cannot cut through the whole dimension here. So we have to take it in 2 passes.
The vertical dimension.
Right. If you have a 12-inch saw, then you can do it in 1. All right, let's start.
You want to clear?
Ripping is not a difficult operation, but it does require care. Your hand is going to be reasonably close to a blade, and if you're not comfortable, please do not do it.
However, if you take it slow and you use a push stick and you use reasonable precautions, this is an operation that will give you much better yield out of any piece of wood and will definitely allow you to customize your projects to exactly the dimensions and look that you want. As you can see here, I'm applying a constant pressure, which is important for ripping and avoids having any burn marks on the two pieces. The only critical component is that you just flip the piece over when you cut, and Elpidas here is helping me. She flipped the piece, and as you can see, she give it back to me, and I'm going to go through one more time. Even though it takes a little more time, even if I had a blade that can go all the way through, I think it would be safer to do it this way, because that way you avoid any great stresses in the wood that potentially can bind the blade and create a kickback condition. And now we have two pieces that are reasonably similar in dimension, right?
Yep.
It is not critical, of course, because you will not see them. The critical part that there will be the same, the same flatness.
Flush.
The same flatness. Is flatness a thing?
It is now.
There. Do you want me to pass it again? It's so little. This is a little wider, but by so little. It's about half a length of a
Like half a blade width.
half a blade. width.
No, I have to sand it anyway.
Okay.
Okay. So we've got 2 more boards to do, and then we'll come back and show you how these are going to fit on the
Next step
top.
is to connect the top to the legs of the table, and that's important if you're doing pocket screws like we do, because the moment we put the top, there will be no way for us to drive the pocket screws on, right?
Right.
So we're going to do that. It's a simple operation. We're going to use the correct clamp on all of them. Will give us a nice alignment
And it's just one on
and
each
one
leg.
screw.
And then we're going to use that clamp to align each one of the legs. We'll do that 3 more times, and we will come back and show you how the top is assembled. So now for this top, what we've done is flip the table over so that the top is flat here. We're taking our boards that we cut to the correct width, and we've ripped to half the dimension. Now we are tapping them into place. They are a very snug fit, which is great. And there is just a little bit of spacing between each one. And we didn't use a spacer here. This is just eyeballed. And again, just making this flat, we're using our saw table as our flat surface. And then once they're all in place, we will use fasteners along the outside of this edge and the other edge to hold them in place. Okay? And so, because we don't want our wood to split, we are using a drill to compile a hole.
And this is really overkill.
Us overbuilt. I don't know what you're talking about. We never do that.
It's slip a little bit. Can we go a little lower?
So to help us align our boards and to show where we need to do the pilot hole, we're using this square piece to align with the boards, make sure they are straight and parallel. And then again, that also gives us a point of reference to know where our pilot hole needs to be.
That's because when you're on the other side, you cannot see where each board ends.
Right.
That's a little tip and trick.
Tips and tricks.
So here we are. We put the 3 pieces together. We built those 2 chairs last week, and we built the table this week, right?
Yep.
Ladies, how does it look?
I think it looks great. It'll look even better when, we get some sanding done, but the structure, I'm really happy with the design.
Excellent. And was that a hard build, you think?
No.
It is methodological though, right?
Yeah.
Certain steps have to happen a certain way. What level do you think? Beginner, intermediate, or advanced?
For the table,
Yeah.
I think that's pretty much beginner. I think you can do that. Your design obviously will make it unique, but for this, it's very straightforward. Connecting boards together.
Right. And we chose to do it this way, but you can have a solid top if you want.
Yep.
And we think that for an outside, it's better to do it this way.
Right. It lets, if any rain should get on it, it'll just fall right through. And it also matches the design of the seats.
Right, but you won't even see that because it has pillows on it.
True, but it makes me feel better.
Okay, that's the important thing. So friends, if you made it to this point, thank you. This marks the end of our project today, which is this beautiful and I think easy to build with basic tools table. Again, we use dimensional lumber. You can buy 1x4s that they are finished surface, and you don't have even to sand them, Mrs. DIY. It will cost you more, but this costs us $7. If we go to higher level grade, it will cost you $20, $25, right?
Right.
This is not a very expensive project, and I don't think you can come close to buy in any store for this price.
Oh, absolutely not.
Even plastic, I think you will spend more than
Yeah, yeah.
$7. So another point for DIY versus buy, right?
Yep.
I think you cannot buy this for this cost.
And they're all very sturdy. They will not blow away. They won't fall over.
No.
I mean, these are going to last for a very, very long time.
And so this is the end of our project. If you enjoyed this episode, please give us a thumbs up. If you didn't, smack the other button twice. Share, like, subscribe. Let us know, do you like builds like that? And do you want us to do more of them? From Professor DIY, Mrs. DIY, and Elpida, let's build something that matches other things together.